Today I'm at the Rotterdam School of Management with Jerry Luftman. Jerry is founder and managing director of Global Institute of IT Management in New York. Or is it?
The world.
In the world.
That's why we call it global.
Yeah, okay. Jerry has written 18 books on the area of IT management, is a former IBM CIO, and his focus now is on business and IT alignment. I don't know if you have anything to add to why it is so important to adapt to today's disruptive changes, like the Ubers and the Teslas and the Amazons too, for IT departments, because a lot of them see it as a kind of a threat, and maybe they'll be the
Don't look at these things as a threat. Look at them as opportunities, because they're going to happen with you or without you. Again, the proverbial frog. The water is going to boil, and you're going to die if you do not jump out of the water, or in this case, jump into the water to make lemonade out of those lemons. These new technologies and the impact that they're having on business is profound. And by and large, if you even look back at history, any new technical innovation, the people who created them had no idea what the real long-term implications would be of these technologies. I mean, simplistically, think of the Wright brothers in the airplane. They never anticipated what we're doing. Think about Alexander Graham Bell when we created the telephones, and how we're using the internet and electricity with Edison. And then go on to the computers and the personal computers, etc. When we first talked about personal computers, I could talk about that because I was literally a major player and part of that whole evolution within IBM, which was slow to respond. Nobody at the start had any idea, not even the Apples or the Microsofts had any idea of the profound changes that their technology would have on the world and how things are done. And the Ubers and the Watsons and the robotic process automation and the clouds and the mobile and the social and the analytics, we are babes in the woods, because what we have no idea about what is going to be happening in profound changes in everything that we do and how we take advantage of this technology. In a few years, it'll be second nature, and we look back and we say, well, how did we do it before? I mean, look back, how did people find their way around without a GPS? Look back.
A map. Yeah.
If you can get a map, right? And then the map was wrong anyway.
Yeah.
But you look back on the mobile telephones, the texting, and you look back, how did we communicate? How did we find anybody without having texting? We were looking for people in a crowd. It's second nature now. But a few years ago, when they first were being introduced, we looked at this stuff and we said, oh my goodness, this is, what a waste of time. This makes no sense. I'll never use it. I'll never have it. Now, second nature. And that's just human nature. Change is an interesting thing. It's part of our daily lives. And in IT, it's our business to a large extent. And if we're not effective at recognizing what needs to be changed and the timing of that change, that's when we're left behind. And it's not just the technical things that are necessary. It is recognizing how to get business and IT to work cohesively together to leverage these changes before you are out of business, before the pot of water boils.
And that's by communicating together, really.
Communicating, working together, researching together, not being afraid to experiment, pilot with things, not being afraid to give up some things that you believe are cherished that you don't want to give up, anticipating profound transformation in the role of the CIO, in the role of IT. Some people suggest, and we see it in the numbers in our research, that more and more we see more and more suggesting that even IT executives, although non-IT executives, suggest that the future of IT is that it will be gone. There will not be a separate IT organization. There will not be a need for a chief information officer or whatever the head IT person would be called. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but I see it happening. I know it won't happen in the short term, but certainly there are indications, and good reason perhaps, for that change to happen, least of which is the advent of the cloud and more IT services being outsourced to the cloud. The cloud and how it has been used and it is being used is, again, we're babes in the woods. People aren't even beginning to think about the long-term implications of what the cloud really will mean to not only organizations, but how work gets done. Because it's not just the individual technology, it's cloud in concert with the Wikinomics and mobile, social, et cetera, virtual organizations, where you can have everybody accessing things in your company and generating new ideas for how to do business. Not just somebody who's sitting in the office next door, but somebody who's sitting in an office on the other side of the world and in the future, probably outside of this world. It's exciting, it's cool, there's no better place to be right now. But recognize it's happening all around us. You've got to be able to identify, recognize the changes, and be able to respond with your business partners if you're going to survive. Anybody who's looking for a profession that is not going to be very dynamic and challenging and constantly changing, you're in the wrong business if you're embarking in IT. However, we know now, and we know in probably the next 15, 20 years projection, that there are not enough qualified IT professionals with the appropriate balance of technical, business, management, industry, interpersonal communicative skills that industry needs to be able to have IT and business work effectively together to pull it off. And if we don't have those skills, we're not going to be successful. And this is not just in Europe, not just North America, it's around the globe, Asia, Africa, Latin America. It's persistent.
Yeah. And could you give some examples of successful revenue-generating initiatives?
Oh, gosh, just open up the newspaper any day, and any of the major internet companies, the Amazons of the world, are clearly the exemplars. And the thing that's really, really exciting here, let's take an Amazon. Here's a company that is a retailer, starting with books, and we all know the story. And what are they doing now? Now they're selling IT services, cloud service provider, totally outside of their original strategic vision, because they recognize that IT has become the business. And although it might seem heresy to many, that's what's happening. Businesses are becoming IT. It's not techies, but it's inherent in everything that they do to basically leverage IT for these exciting initiatives. And if they don't do it, their competitors are doing it. And if they do it, you're going out of business.
Yeah.
It's the proverbial frog in a pot of boiling water. I mean, you could wait for the water to boil and you're going to die. Or you could anticipate that the water's getting hot and we need to respond now. And unfortunately, it takes a crisis for organizations to respond, but we shouldn't. Be that frog that recognizes all of the changes that are going on around us. Business, technical, cultural, environmental opportunities are just all over the place for those people who are innovative and willing to be a little bit assertive and can effectively communicate with their other stakeholders in their organization about these opportunities and move forward and demonstrate the value that it provides.
A matter of mindset, could you say that? It's an important factor.
Clearly, it's a function of mindset. It's ability to recognize things, an ability to adapt, an ability to communicate. You take a look at the two primary skills that CEOs and non-IT executives, even IT executives, recognize as the two skills required to be the head of IT, whatever that person is called, as long as we have them. It's just leadership and the ability to effectively communicate to the business how to leverage IT. That's it. Nothing else really matters. You're not going to hire a CIO who's the third shift networking manager, with all due respect to the third shift networking manager. You're not going to hire the CIO who is a techie. You're going to hire a CIO that understands IT and how it could enable and drive business change. The likely place would be somebody who's head of applications and works with the business. They know the business knows them. That's the likely place that it will come, whether it's from inside the company, outside the company, whether it's a practitioner, service provider, or management consultant. Be able to see the change and how you can leverage it. Again, make lemonade out of the lemons, because it's exciting, it's cool.